Hey, Mean Matt here, and
I'm Killer Kyle.
welcome to another episode of Wheels of Fury. Hey, Mean Matt here, and welcome to Wheels of Fury. This is Killer Kyle.
Ah,
And today I thought we've already done King of the Ring 1996. I thought we did 2001. I'll have to check that again.
yeah.
This King of the Ring, one of the most famous King of the Rings, for one reason and one reason only.
First ever Hell in a Cell match with Mankind and The Undertaker.
And I figured last weekend was Hell in a Cell, pay-per-view. Why the fuck not do this?
Yeah.
No. I mean, back in those days, like 98 especially is when I started to pick up the business, and
Yeah.
you had The Rock, already Intercontinental Champion. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin, who, yeah, he was the champion, but we'll get to that later.
Right.
And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
The second year that Kane existed in WWF, I mean, you had Glenn Jacobs as a income and fake Diesel, but this character had been one of the best ideas in a long time. There's a Big Red Machine, somebody who at first had really no emotion, and
Yeah.
he was a machine. And then
Yeah.
of course
Machine, monster, yeah. Whatever you want to call it.
Mick Foley, a guy that came in 96, and he was unlike any other wrestler in WWF at the time.
Yeah.
Coming from ECW in WCW as Cactus Jack, and then having to reform himself as Mankind, and he made it work.
Yeah.
Like, I watched an episode in 96, and I haven't watched wrestling religiously in maybe 2 years. And I was like, oh, we're not in Kansas anymore, Jordan.
Yeah. Total, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say it was the first ever, it's like the second one, but it was the first. The King of the Ring pay-per-view. And I don't know if you have yet, I know I haven't yet watched the Broken Skull sessions with Mick Foley.
Oh, I have.
Well, there was a little part in there where he was, of course, talking about this match, and he said, it's the greatest moment of my career, and also the worst moment of my career. Greatest moment of my career, because, you know, it was a great match. It's still talked about, 25-ish years, well, 20 to 25 years later, you got thrown off the cell, through a table, got thrown off the top of the cell, through it, or onto the top of the cell, through the cell, to the canvas, had a chair smack him in the face, tooth in the nose. But he's like, it was the worst moment of my career because I knew I couldn't top it.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll get to that later, but let's get to this show first.
Right.
So now we begin our first match, a tag team, actually 6-man match. You got Headbangers and Taka Michinoku versus Kai and Tai. And Dick Togo, Funaki, I can't remember the other guy's name. Then of course managed by Yamaguchi-san.
Yeah, I think this was at the time when Taka Michinoku broke away from that group and was on his own, and then, you know, partnering with the Headbangers. And, you know, not very long after, you would have Kai and Tai kind of reunite, you could say. But only it was just Taka Michinoku and Funaki, but yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
Right.
And Dick Togo was a surprise, because watching him in New Japan right now, and just like, oh wow, his career obviously spanned a long time.
True.
But the Headbangers as well.
Yeah.
And they made a comeback in 2016 on SmackDown for a little bit, and then they're elsewhere. They were in Ring of Honor for a while.
Yeah.
But this match was really good too. I mean, you got Taka Michinoku as the light heavyweight champion.
Right.
The WWF's answer to the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of Michinoku wrestling Kai and Tai, and of course the Headbangers got theirs in as well. And yeah, basically Kai and Tai lost. You got Taka Michinoku doing the Michinoku driver for the win.
Right.
And yeah, not exactly sure who, I think it was Christian maybe that beat him for the light heavyweight title, but I'll have to look it up now.
Yeah. Not exactly sure who took the light heavyweight title from Tonga. So now we have Ken Shamrock versus Jarrett.
Yep. Yeah, this match was interesting. An odd pairing, to say the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shamrock whooped his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably got some offense in, but yeah, basically it was more or less Shamrock beating his ass, and not a lot of people really like Jeff Jarrett to begin with, obviously, but this was an interesting match. You got Tennessee Lee on Jarrett, Jeff's corner, so
old Tennessee Lee.
Yeah, but Shamrock, again, one of the guys that really has reinvented himself on Impact, and I'm not sure where he is now, but
he may be doing behind the scenes stuff, because he's, you know, he did a few things on TV. He had a few matches, and then, you know, he was aligning himself with Sami Callihan.
yes.
And now, haven't seen Ken in a while, and I don't know, maybe he decided to do behind the scenes stuff, I guess, I don't know.
Anyways, the Ken Shamrock won the first round of the King of the Ring.
Right.
And so there's that. Now we go on to the second match. Qualifications. You got The Rock versus Dan Saffer.
Yes.
Now, a while ago we talked about NWA coming into WWF in '93 with Heavenly Bodies, and now you have '98 where you've got Dan Saffer, you got Jim Cornette, and later talk about the new Midnight Express.
Yes.
But this match was good too. And I mean, Dan Saffer, honestly, I could have seen him as the Intercontinental Champion. Hell, he may have been Hardcore Champion, I don't know, but
yeah.
This guy definitely was another MMA fighter that I wish could have done a bit better. Now maybe, you know, him being a bit older, I don't know. But this was a good match too. The Rock picked up the win, obviously, and you know, they fought on the outside and of course in the ring, and The Rock did the people's elbow. Now I didn't see Severn do the Dragon Sleeper.
Right.
But, I mean, this was still a good match.
Yeah, you know, talking about Ken winning against Jarrett, and you know, Rock winning over Severn, and that'll lead into the finals, if you will. But if you had, let's say, Ken still beat Jarrett, and then Severn beat Rock,
oh my god,
would have been real interesting.
Now, I mean, I believe, because I think there might have been 2 Lions Den matches. There might have been one with Ken and Dan at some point. I don't know, I can't remember.
Right.
There was definitely one with Dan and Owen.
Yeah. But, yeah. Just hypothetical thought in my mind.
No, that would have been fucking sweet. And who knows, maybe it did happen at some point.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So now we go on to Al Snow and
Head. As Al Snow and Head versus Too Cool. Well, too much.
Okay then.
Yep. Yeah, this was the shits. I mean, I'm not sure how this came about. They got Al Snow and Head, this fucking dummy Head. I know it wasn't euphemism, but fuck it. And then he got too much. And then special guest referee, Jerry the King Lawler. Obviously, Brian Lawler's dad. But this match was the shits. I mean, come on. Seriously? You couldn't think of anything better?
Out of all the people, this period of time in '98, that were, on Monday Night Raw, the talent pool was very vast. And you could put anybody with Al Snow. No, you gotta partner him up with his Head. In more ways than one, those fitting.
No, you got fucking Brian Christopher coming out with a bottle of Head and Shoulders, which didn't make any fucking sense to me. But, yeah, I think too much won, anyways. Maybe I have to look up whatever.
Yeah.
This was the shits. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when they don't exactly give a sight,
yeah.
you don't really care too much about who wins. Anyway.
So now we have this match. We've got Owen Hart versus X-Pac. Now obviously it's, you got a feud with the Black Panther type team of Nation of Domination.
Black Panther.
And then you've got the, I guess, rock and roll rebels of D-Generation X. Whatever you want to call it. And then they're feuding. This match was definitely interesting because you had the run-in of Mark Henry and then China trying to get him out of the ring. This was another angle, China and Mark Henry, that was very fucking interesting.
Yeah.
But Vader ended up getting in on Mark Henry and kicking his ass, and then of course, yeah, this was weird. I don't know if that was the match or not, but this match, so, actually, yes it was. So anyways, yeah, X-Pac ended up going over. But it was still a good match. And Owen Hart is another one that I've mentioned that, if the fake accident didn't happen, and if he was still alive, I often wonder if they would have put the strap on him.
Maybe.
And I don't know if he would thrive well in the PG era of, well, a while ago. Because he was one of those guys that was a very good heel.
Yeah.
There was no profanity, and there was no language. He was just a very good heel. And you could do that back then, and everything, it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody really would have complained, or nobody did complain, Owen Hart, you know, being this heel and not using cussing, and it's like, well, yeah, but, you know, he could pull it off very well, and did pull it off very well.
Yeah.
He didn't need to, you know, I'm gonna kick your ass, go to hell, god damn it, and whatever else.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Now we have a tag team match with the New Midnight Express and the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah, this was interesting. And I mean, you think about it too. You've got Bart Gunn on one side, and you got Billy Gunn on the other.
Yeah.
And they went face to face at some point. But Bob Holly and Bart Gunn being the New Midnight Express with Jim Cornette in their corner. Keep in mind, I never watched NWA at that point. It was Smoky Mountain Wrestling. That's what it was. Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Right.
I'm guessing. But anyways, whatever. This was a good match, and yeah, like, Bart and Billy had a face-off. Basically, you had Bart doing the second thing to Bob Holly on the ground. Bob did the same thing. You know, it's kind of funny how a few weeks later you would have Bob turn into Hardcore Holly.
Yeah.
Shave his head or whatever.
Mm.
It was pretty interesting evolution, because at that time he still had the hair like when he was Sparkplug, so
Yeah.
but this was a good match. The Outlaws retained their titles,
Yes.
and yeah, very cool.
Ah. And we go into the finals of the King of the Ring tournament. You got Rock and Shamrock.
Yep, lucky. Yes, their feud was, to say the least, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you have The Rock, who was, I guess at the time, Rocky Maivia,
I think so, yeah.
and Ken Shamrock, who would eventually become the Intercontinental Champion.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this was cool. I mean, they definitely took each other to the limit. The Rock actually lost this match, which was weird. However, Shamrock snapped, as he does, and beat up a lot of referees, and then the decision gets reversed. So then he does some more damage. But this was a good match. Like, they wrestled outside the ring as well.
Yeah.
And I think The Rock tried to take down Shamrock in the match. So
Yeah. Yeah, The Rock and Shamrock, their feud was very interesting. And of course, this is at the time where Rock was still a member of the Nation of Domination, but he was trying to, you know, be the leader, if you will, of the nation. And of course, everybody remembers Farouk as the leader of the nation, but Rock felt, you know, he should be the leader and all this other stuff. And then eventually, you know, Rock would get ousted of the nation and, you know, go on with his career and, you know, have an amazing career solo-wise. And yeah.
interesting too that Triple H came out and did commentary.
Right.
But you think about it, and yeah, Ken Shamrock didn't win. Like, he won, but then they reversed it, which was too bad. And I think when we talked about it a long time ago, and it just really sucks because here's a guy that was the tag team champions with Big Boss Man. You have him as the Intercontinental Champion. At some point in his career, could you not have put the WWF title on this motherfucker? Like, seriously. He was a guy who was a legit badass motherfucker. an MMA guy, and you couldn't put the WWF title on him. And he's one of the few guys in the Attitude Era that you could have put the WWF title on. Bulldog, Hart, Owen Hart, and Ken Shamrock. And you fuck the dog with all of them.
And you can see with the British Bulldog, literally.
The thing that really pissed me off is not putting the title on Shamrock. Yeah, okay, what are they gonna do once he won the title? I don't know.
Yeah.
But fucking live a little. That's just one of those things that it could have happened but didn't.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It really fucking sucks. Especially Owen Hart, who had won the title for all of, what, 3 minutes? Like, there's actual proof. Look it up. But they were never given a full chance. And it's a fucking shame. Because two are dead. And Ken Shamrock, well, he apparently can't step foot in the WWE no more, so...
Yeah, so... Go on to this match, and I tell you, this match was... one of those things where you want to look away, but or how hard you want to look away, you just can't.
Yeah, and you said it before. Mick Foley saying that this can't be topped, and it's true.
Like, I mean, you go to, let's say, Triple H versus Cactus Jack, Hell in a Cell, and you know, that backdrop on the roof of the cell, and the roof of the cell gave way. You know, yeah, that was a pretty memorable moment, but this one is the one where it's like, they lower the cell, Foley comes out with a chair, throws the chair on top of the cell, climbs up to the roof of the cell, and then, you know, Undertaker comes out with his entrance, sees Mankind on top of the cell, is like, alright, you want to start up there? Let's do this. Takes off his vest, climbs up to the roof of the cell, and, you know, they start having at it.
Yeah.
And, you know, this match was talked about quite a number of times by Mick and Undertaker themselves. And, you know, one of the things that they had talked about was the Undertaker at that point was 330. Mankind was 297, 298, somewhere. Or no, I think it might have been 287 maybe. He was close to 300 pounds anyways. And they're walking on the top of the cell, and at this point in time, sections that made up the roof of the Hell in the Cell were just held together by friggin' zip ties.
Yeah.
And so as they're walking on the roof of the cell, you hear bing, 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 bing. They zip ties giving away under their weight, and then, you know, Mick Foley, I remember watching an interview that he did, and he was like, he approached Undertaker several times about starting the match on the roof of the cell.
Yeah.
And Undertaker just didn't really seem interested. And Mankind just kept talking to him about it and bugging him and bugging him. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. Undertaker finally went, why the hell do you want to start this match on the roof of the cell so goddamn bad? Mick just went, this match is going to be an absolute train wreck, which it was.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the most memorable and best car wreck, train wreck anybody's ever seen it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, look, here's the thing, and it just kind of goes to show you what kind of man that Mick Foley is. Here's a guy that got in trouble so many times because he wanted to go that extra limit. And you know, you start their match on top of the cell, and they're fighting back and forth. And then you got The Undertaker and the epic tossing off the cell. And you got Mark Calloway looking down and just saying to himself, come on, Mick, move. Because, you know, I think everyone thought that he had died or something along those lines. That was a big fall.
Oh, yeah. That cell was, you know, 20, 25 feet high. And, you know, you can even watch it, you know, as Mick is going off the roof, he grabbed the side of the roof just momentarily, and that was just enough so when he was falling basically face first, but he grabbed the cell just long enough to where he could rotate and then boom, back first to the table. And, you know, Undertaker has said, as he's throwing Mick off the cell, it's like time just stood still.
Yes.
Everything was just in slow motion as Mick's falling and crash through the table and you know.
But you got Vince and Pat Patterson and Terry Funk all coming out with a stretcher, EMTs. They put Mick on there. They wheel him out. And Mick, who's, I guess, semi-conscious, says, I'm not gonna end this match in the stretcher.
Yeah.
So he gets up, he goes back into the cell.
Well, back on top of it.
Well, back on top of it, yeah. Like the lights were on and no one was home. But he went
essentially.
He went back on top of the cell.
Yeah.
And then they continued. And then, of course, the other famous moment where the cell breaks, Mick falls through the cell onto the ring, almost collapsing the ring.
Yeah, the chair that was up on top of the cell that Mick brought out. I don't even think they used it when they were on the roof. But yeah, Undertaker, I think it was the same thing. Undertaker backdrops Mick. Mick hits the roof of the section of the roof. The cell gives away. He falls. He hits the ring. And of course, where Mick went through was exactly where the chair was. And as he hits the ring, chair smacks him in the face, knocks out a tooth stuck in his nostril.
Yeah.
And there was a interview I saw Mick do, like a live stage thing, whatever. And at one point, Undertaker's like, go home, which be like, you know, finish the match.
Yeah.
And Mick was like, no, I'm not letting you tell me when this match is over. This match is going to be over when this match is over. And, you know, they continue to wrestle the match in the ring. Thumbtacks get introduced. Foley goes into the thumbtacks. Conclude the match with the tombstone and the pin.
And, you know, get back to Gorilla and backstage. And a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And Vince goes up to Mick and he's like, look, I appreciate everything that you do, but I never want to see that again. But once again, a testament to how much Mick Foley loves the business.
Oh yeah.
Going that extra mile.
Mick was literally willing to put his body on the line to entertain the fans.
Like when you look at that and then you compare a year later with those chair shots to the head by The Rock at Royal Rumble. Again, who knows if that was supposed to happen.
Right.
Whatever. But the fact is, Mick Foley is a legit badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else like him. And I mean, yeah, he had many good matches. Well, no, he had many great matches after that.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. We should eventually talk about WrestleMania 23.
Right, yeah.
You know, but yeah, this was a very good match.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, for it to still be talked about, you know, 20, 25 years later is a testament to just how great that match was and all the moments that happened in that match. And, you know, the thing that, in my mind, really added to the, not only the story, But like the suspense of the match too, fucking JR.
Oh yeah.
That man, I could tell a story with his eyes closed.
And it was a shoot.
Yeah.
Like somebody stopped the damn match.
Yeah.
Enough is enough, and it was a fucking shoot.
And you know, probably the most infamous line from that match that's probably still used in, like, you know, don't try this at home stuff or whatever, you know. As God is my witness, he's broken in half.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I put JR on my list of quite a few years ago of favorite, best commentators, just how good he was at, you know, whether it was a shoot or not, just telling a story.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So now you have the main event, WWE title, WWF title.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if Steve Austin lost, he would lose the title, but if Kane lost, I am going to set myself on fire.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane in the first blood match.
Yes.
And, yeah, this was interesting.
Yeah, because after Mick had the match with Undertaker, he was also supposed to get involved with this match and I think help Kane win.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, Foley, you know, getting thrown off the cell, through the cell, thumbtacks, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, he still came out to the ring and, you know, got involved in the match, but he was suffering something fierce, I'll tell you.
And, you know, I was kind of interested because you're having a first blood match with a man that's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the fuck that would work.
Yeah.
But these two took each other to the limit as well.
Oh, yeah.
Even raising the Hell in a Cell. And it's like, Austin got busted open, the referee didn't even know. And then somehow he found out. Well, I got Undertaker and Mick Foley do a run-in as well.
Yeah.
And then all that happened. I think it was Undertaker that hit Austin with a chair.
I think so, yeah.
So then the referee finds out, calls for the bell, and then of course, Kane's your new WWF champion.
Yeah.
This is what really pisses me off. Now look, a 13-year-old Matt didn't give a shit because I've always been a Steve Austin fan. I was a Steve Austin fan back then. But here's a guy like Kane, who's a year into his WWF career as Kane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wins the WWF title, and then the next night on Raw, him and Paul are out. Austin comes out. Now, Austin obviously had a staph infection.
Mm-hmm.
He had a cast on.
Mm.
And he wants a rematch. And they have it on Raw.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they have the main event. And Stone Cold retains the title. At the time, I thought it was great. I'm a fan of Austin, that's great. Looking back now, I'm going, could you not have fucking had Kane hold the title to the next pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, there's a guy that could have been that great champion.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew at the point that would be the only time he had the WWE title.
Yeah.
And you have him lose it like that on Raw the next night. It really boggles my mind because Mick Foley as Mankind had a nice run as WWE champion, off and on with The Rock. But Kane, the guy that could have been a strong champion, and he loses the belt the next day.
Yeah.
And so, you know, okay, if you want to look at the World Championship in 2008, whatever, 10 years later, he wins the title.
Yeah.
That's the World Championship.
Mhm.
He was the WECW champion, the Intercontinental champion, tag team champion multiple times, but it would never have killed you to keep the title on Kane for a little bit longer than you did. And hell, maybe Highway to Hell at SummerSlam wouldn't have happened with Austin and Taker. It would have been Kane and Taker, which would have been awesome! Brothers of Destruction! They had their match at WrestleMania 14. Could you imagine Kane and The Undertaker wrestling at SummerSlam for the WWF title?
Yeah.
But no, we have to have Austin keep the title. And again, I'm a huge Austin fan. Always have been, always will be. But just think of the possibilities if the Big Red Machine kept the title for a little bit longer than he did.
Yeah. What if scenario?
Yeah.
But, yes, that was King of the Ring 98.
Hold on.
What a show.
And the thing about that year is this is the year that I became, once again, a religious wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Watching it religiously. And I mean, there's always gonna be, and I thought I was one of the few. But yeah, you're a fan for life, but there's always those spots where you stop watching it for a while. And that's not
For some
just,
people, yeah.
that's not just wrestling, it could
Oh,
be other
yeah.
sports as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, this show is awesome. And will always be remembered for that one particular match. And we gotta do more of these at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
We look back at, but because I'm not sure what's going on next week. I'm not sure what the next pay-per-view is.
Yeah, I think up until Slammiversary, I don't think there's anything else.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it and we'll see what we could do.
Yeah.
But this was a good show.
Yes.
I'm glad we got to talk about it. And yeah, we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah.
So, Killer Kyle, this is Mean Matt. Have a nice day.